After Genji finished his meal, he went out to do some nighttime rounds inside the mansion. He'd eaten some reheated soup that Goda had made along with some random leftovers from the refrigerator. Both were things Goda had made himself and were, of course, delicious. He had half-heartedly gone to ask Rose and the others what they would want to do for dinner, but he'd got yelled at by a voice telling him that the canned food they had would be enough, and the door wasn't even opened for him. So, ironically, the servant Genji was able to eat a more delicious meal. But why was it that Genji wasn't afraid to do all the rounds all by himself? Even though all those crimes that had been committed and many people who had already met a brutal end, judging by his appearance, he carried out his usual task without a trace of fear as though everything was normal. You might all think all of the horrible events that day had been no more than a dream or illusion. He was taking a philosophic view, or he had just accepted his fate. Genji must have considered it a virtue that, when the fate awaited him was unavoidable, he carried out his duty systematically until the last moment. The depths of his heart probably remained hidden for eternity unless he spoke of them himself. He had returned his master key to Rosa, so the places he could reach were extremely limited. All he could do was walk around the hallways, checking to make sure all the windows were closed. That probably made his rounds go a lot faster than usual. At the sound of a reserved knock, Aunt Rosa, who had been falling into a doze, jumped and woke up, pointing the barrel of a gun at the door. She yelled. I was napping on a sofa, and that voice had brought me back to reality.
ローザ様、源氏でございます。
何か用なの？扉は開けなくて結構よ。そのままで話して。
はい。それではこのままで失礼させていただきます。南條先生と熊沢の遺体を見つけました。
なんだって。
そう。わかったわ。確認に行きましょう。
Why leave the...
死体を見ない限り、私は誰も信じない。
Why are you believing him that there's a corpse in the first? What if it's a trap? What's wrong with you, Rosa? You're stupid.
大丈夫だよ、バトラー。マリアといれば絶対に大丈夫。
Maybe my face seemed to be darkened with anxiety. Maria grasped my hand with her small hand and spoke softly, trying to give me courage. Since it was Aunt Rosa's job to ready the gun and stand guard, it fell to me to remove a barricade and the sofas. When I finished, I took a backward glance at Aunt Rosa, who was pointing the barrel of a gun over my shoulder, and opened the door.
ケンジさん、二人の死体はどこに？
中庭です。ご案内いたします。
バトラ君待って。念のため部屋の戸締まりを確認していくわ。ちょっと待ってね。
Aunt Rosa called me to a halt to prevent me from going on ahead and began carefully checking for locks in each of the windows. But the locks had already been checked once. It felt kind of unpleasant, as though she suspected I might have secretly unlocked them while she wasn't looking. No, maybe Aunt Rosa was right to be this cautious. For it was called a courtyard, it wasn't really a place you could take a walk in like a rose garden. On the contrary, since it was surrounded by a mansion for all sides, you might feel a little uncomfortable, as though it was telling you there would be no escape from his mansion no matter where you tried to run. On the other hand, it meant that even though he could hear the violent wind, the wind itself was blocked. Genji held out an umbrella, but Aunt Rosa ignored him. She was probably hinting that the gun took two hands, and it would be dangerous if she took the umbrella. Well, we didn't need Genji pointing for us to notice. Right there in the centre of the courtyard, we could see Dr. Nanjo and where Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa lay. Rosa entered the courtyard without even opening an umbrella, so Genji and I entered the courtyard without opening one. Only Maria opened hers.
マリア、これはあれだな。
おお、第7の番と第8の番だね。
System. Uh, 8, 7, 8. So Goda was 5th. Kumathao and Yanjo are 7th and 8th, which means that Shannon and George must be 4th and 6th, which kind of messes up the order in which we know they were killed. So the I don't. Can we take this list of when everything happens as confirmed as when people will die? Because so that means when Rosa and not Rosa, when Fake Cannon attacked Kumasao and Anjo weren't dead because Battler praises Beatrice, so that would be the third Twilight then. I don't know.
なるほど。確かに源氏さんたちが言っていたように、二人の首にはひどい傷があるわね。すごく鋭利な。まるで日本刀か何かで切ったかのようにすっぱりね。
Those gaping wounds on my neck definitely want me to avert my eyes, but after seeing that Halloween party in the chapel, even though they looked horrible, they were nothing enough to make me feel sick. More importantly, our gazes fell to their legs. Dr. Nancho's knee, Kumasawa's ankle, driven each of them with something like a knife or a stake with a demonic design. They must have been the same as the thing that had pierced Jessica's back.
これは何なの？ジェシカちゃんの時と同じね。何かオカルトの儀式のつもりなのかしら。
わかりません。彼らの遺体を最後に見た時にはこのようなものはありませんでした。使用人室から運び出された後にやられたのでしょう。
The one stuck into Dr. Nanjo's knee was still standing erect. The one that had been thrusting Kumasawa's ankle might have been a little shallower. It had come out and fallen over. So, by looking at the one that had fallen over for the first time, I realised it wasn't a knife, but something like a stake. Its full length was probably 30 centimetres. It was probably made out of bronze or iron or something like I thought. Even without touching it, I can tell that it had some weight to it. It was comprised of a grip and a cone-shaped part, and it was obviously made to be a piercing weapon. Maybe it was like a miniature version of those lances Western knights used on horseback. The spiral-shaped stitches on it made it look sort of like a drill. However, the grip had an occult design modelled off a demon or something. Instead of a weapon used in war, it felt like something it would be used in a ceremony to offer up living sacrifices.
間違いない。生贄のつもりなんだな。
第7の番に膝をえぐりて殺せ。第8の番に足をえぐりて殺せ。
待てよ。それじゃ第4、5、6の番が抜けちまう。まさか。
Of course. Why is Genji alone? If something like this happened, why aren't George, Goda and Shannon here? Why is Genji alone?
どういうこと？ジョージ君たち3人はどこへ行ったの？
夏日奥様のお部屋を探し物に行きたいと言われまして、まだお戻りになりません。
なんだって。その出かけたってのはいつ頃の話なんだよ。
2、3時間前のことだと思います。
そんな、なんでそんな大事なことをやっちゃなくて、なんで不審に思わなかったんだよ。
常に一人使用人は待機していなくてはなりません。彼らが戻るまで待機しているのが私のお務めでしたもので。
Was Genji really this much of a robot? This is bad, this is bad, it's really bad. Dr. Najo and Kumasawa were killed like this, which means that 3 people have already been killed. We ran toward Aunt Natsui's room with a touch of anxiety and just as much resignation. Before we saw the inside of Aunt Natsui's room, we were forced to resign ourselves to a certain fact. The door was a bizarre scribble. No, filth. Anyway, this room wasn't in an ordinary state, and even without opening the door, you can imagine what we'd find inside. On the face of the door, how should I say it? Handprints done heavily with some red paint as the magic circles before them had banged onto the door, scratched it, dirtied it. It looked like the aftermath of some kind of kindergarten playing in the mud. I didn't know what it could mean. The bright red paint that had been slathered on was dripping down, and even though no one said it, it made us think of blood.
Genji-san, 開けてください.
Aunt Rosa held up her gun and ordered Genji to open the door. Genji approached it without seeming particularly troubled by the stuff on it, turned the knob, but immediately turned around shaking his head. It was locked. After a moment, there was only one person in the mansion who could lock and unlock the doors at will, Aunt Rosa. This time, Genji asked Aunt Rosa to unlock the door instead of the other way round. After frowning slightly for a second, Aunt Rosa handed a master key and told me to open the door.
バトラ君、これで開けてもらえる?
そのくらいのこと、ケンジさんを信用しても。
Aunt Rosa glared at me intensely. Getting into a fight here would only make the mood turn even more sour. Without talking back anymore, I approached the creepy door and tried the knob. It didn't open. It was definitely resistance of the lock. I struck the master key into the keyhole. Clunk. There was a slight resistance. Aunt Rosa told me to be on my guard, and I opened the door without really guarding myself in any way. And then there was a scene laid out before us that didn't betray my expectations at all.
ひどい.
やっぱり第4、5、6の番の再現だったな。
So 6th Coda is 5th and Shannon would be 4th in that case. Inside of the room looked though a robber had just broken in. Drawers had been flung open, pulled out, and the contents being thrown all over the place. Leaving the room so cluttered, you'd never think it belonged to the methodical Aunt Natsui. But the very easy first thing caught our eyes was Godo-san's corpse lying face down right in front of the door. Right in the centre of his chest, almost as though it had been struck with the bad finish of a vampire with one of those demon stakes from before. Exactly how far could it reach before being struck after being stuck that deeply into his chest? Just imagine it would make anyone's chest hurt.
胸をえぐれば第5の番だったが。
Maya grabbed my hand. Her expression just looked just like normal, but maybe she really was afraid of the other room where the 3 corpses lay. And along the wall farthest the room, George lay dead. This time the stakes had been rammed right into the centre of the stomach. Wasn't gouging the stomach the 6th twilight? Shannon's corpse was face down in front of a dresser lying in a sea of blood. Had she seen her own face in the end, that horrible broken mirror stained with blood? That's weird. Why was she facing the mirror? Because she was lying that way, I couldn't see her face, but I could guess even without seeing it. Nearby in the sea of blood she lay, and the demon stake had fallen. Fourth twilight was left. George gouged her head and killed. Maybe my heart was totally worn out and dead. Even though I knew it was wrong, I lifted her head and checked, and confirmed that my guess had been right on the mark. There was a gaping hole in Shannon's head, and the insides dripping out. Only that we could see inside her. After seeing that, I realized I was doing something wrong. I immediately averted my eyes, but now it was probably pointless.
こら、バトラ君! 警察が来るまでそっとしておかないとダメよ。勝手に触ってどういうつもり？せっかくの現場証拠がおかしくなっちゃったらどうするのよ。
Aunt Bertha got violently mad at me and even tugged at the back of my collar. I trotted limply and fell on my butt, gazing dimly at the ceiling.
マリア、
お
これで第8の番まで終わっちまったな。第9の番って何だったっけ？
第9の晩に魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残れはしない。
そっか、これで黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェは復活するんだな。そしてなんだ、最後の第10の番。
第10の晩に旅は終わり、黄金の里に至るだろう。黄金鏡の扉はもうすぐ開かれるんだよ。もうすぐ。
魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残れはしない。俺たちはこれから死ぬのか、それともこれで生贄の儀式は終了で俺たちの旅は終わり？何が俺たちの旅だ。俺たちは今日一日犯人を見つけよう、事態を打開しようと散々頭をひねって何も至れなかった。バカの考え休むに似たりってやつだ。そうさ、俺たちは今日一日ずっと憎悪と疑心暗鬼で自分を焼き焦がした。死んだ人間しか信用できないって言ってわざわざ3人の死に顔をここまで確認に来たんだぜ。こんな俺たちがどうして黄金鏡とやらにたどり着けるって言うんだよ。
That's right. If we couldn't resolve any of our problems anyway, it would have been so much better if we locked ourselves up the whole time without thinking at all. Grandfather's the wisest of us. He's been shut up in his room since yesterday without contact with anyone. Was that the right decision? Grandfather was the most correct of us all.
大丈夫だよバトラー。マリアといれば大丈夫。魔女はとても気まぐれで、時に面白半分に人間を殺すかもしれない恐ろしい存在だけれども、でもマリアと一緒にいれば絶対に大丈夫だから、怯えないで。
ありがとな。気休めでも嬉しいぜ。
After Aunt Bertha finished investigating corpses, she announced that she'd seal this room again, chased the rest of us out, stole back the master key she lent me, and locked the door again. Apparently, George had been holding on to the key to Aunt Natsui's room. She also collected that. Wait a sec. She's got all the master keys on her person. If Natsui's own key was locked inside this room, doesn't that mean make yourself a closed room? So what, is this the fourth closed room? Now the suspicion surrounding the three have been cleared, we return to the parlour once more. I hadn't a clue what was going on anymore. If only the dead were innocent and everyone alive was a wolf, that only leaves me, Aunt Rosa, Mario and Genji. And besides us, there's only Grandfather and that 19th guest who we've seen no trace of, Beatrice. 13 people have died and 6 are left. How would a wolves and sheep puzzle with only 6 people end? Even though a puzzle starts with 90 people has reduced to 6? I can't think of an answer. We returned to the parlour. I was a bit worried that while we were gone, a creepy magic circle or something had been drawn on the parlour door. But thankfully I didn't find anything like that.
ありがとう、源氏さん。ここまでで結構よ。あなたも今日は休んでください。
かしこまりました。これで休ませていただきます。
おい、ローザおばさん。この状況下で、源氏さんをたった一人で過ごさせるっていうのかよ。
そうね。とても危険なことだと思うわ。でも、ならなぜ彼は無事なの？彼は3人が夏日姉さんの部屋へ向かった後、ずっと一人でいた。なのに無事だった。狼と羊のパズルよ。最も弱い立場となる孤立した羊が無事な理由は何？
狼がたまたまいなかったんだろ。
違うわ。それが羊じゃなかったからよ。
源氏さんが狼だっていうのかよ。
彼は一人で厨房にいたそうだけど、それは証明不能よ。南條先生たちの死体を運んだり、ジョージ君たちを殺したりできたのは彼かベアトリーチェだけなのよ。
And also Kinzo, but let's ignore that.
待てよ。その論法じゃ誰だって。
バトラ様、お気遣いをありがとうございます。私は信頼を勝ち得るのは常に100の言い訳ではなく、たとえ信頼をいただけなくても私は最後まで誠実でありたいと思います。
源氏さん
なら決まりね。あなたが本当に無実なら、それは明日やってくる警察が証明してくれるわ。だからそれまでの間、あなたを疑いから長年後宮家に仕えてくれたあなたにこんな仕打ちをするのは本当に心苦しいんだけれど、今夜は分かってください。そして明日になったらもう一度仲直りさせてください。
Genji gave his head a small shake.
今日も明日も私は後宮家の使用人であり続けます。ご用がありましたらいつでもお申し付けください。それでは失礼させていただきます。
After hearing all of that, there was nothing left to say. Genji bowed deeper and left down the hall. Then we entered the room. Even though Aunt Rosa was still held all the master keys herself, she thoroughly checked the inside of the parlour again. She opened the curtains, checked again to make sure the windows were locked. As I watched how should I say it, I felt like it didn't really matter anymore. If I said anything careless, it would turn into another fight. For a while I gazed at her from the corridor, figured I'd waited about long enough and entered the parlour behind her. She doesn't trust anyone but the dead. Doesn't she go around killing everyone with a gun she's got in her hand? And then in the end she'll realise that she herself is the wolf. Then she can just blast through the head of the final wolf and close the curtain on the insane murder driver. Is that going to happen? As I thought that bitterly, I returned to the sofa where I'd been encamped before, rudely resting both my feet on the table. When I tried to do that, I found something right there and stopped moving my feet.
なんだこれ。
Right there, as must have been addressed to me, it was a Western envelope. It was that envelope from before with a one-winged eagle. And it was unopened. Wait. What is this? Who put us in a place like this and when? Until I went with everyone to check the corpse, I was sitting here the whole time. And there wasn't anything then. And when I returned, it was here.
大丈夫。戸締まりに問題はないわ。この部屋は安全よ。
I heard Rosa muttering that. Wait. We made sure this room was safe when we left. We checked the windows and they were perfectly locked. Then locked it up, came back and the windows were still locked. Then, wait, who put this letter here and how? I opened the letter. 2 pieces of stationery came out. The first page had a radic circle drawn it with something like blood. I asked Mari if she knew what it meant. If I asked Mari, she probably knew what it meant, and there was writing on the other page. Have you made progress in solving the epitaph? In just a short while, your time will be off in a flash. The night of twilight will begin quite soon. There was no mistake. It was a letter from Beatrice.
ほう、バトラー。それは？
ああ、今ここに来たら、置いてあった。
どうしたのマリア？バトラ君、その手紙は？
いや、ここに置いてあったんだ。どうしてだよ。この部屋はちゃんと戸締まりをしていたのに、どうしてだよ。どうして。
マリア、いらっしゃい。
Aunt Rosa closed her eyes just a little, and after thinking silently for a moment, Mario told Mario to come. Mario obeyed her mother's words. As she did, something unbelievable happened. Aunt Rosa pointed the barrel of that gun at me.
バトラ君、あなたを狼だと断定するわ。
どうして？
Yes, that's right. Battler committed all of these murders. That's the...
私はこの部屋にたった今帰ってきて、そのテーブルの上に何もないことを見ているわ。
Of course, Rosa, my prime suspect, could have planted it there.
そしてマリアがそのテーブルに近づいていないことも知っている。わずかな時間よ。でもこのテーブルに近づき、そして手紙を見つけたと主張するのはあなただけなのよ。
そんなのって、いや、めちゃくちゃだ。なんで俺がこんなものを置くんだよ。おいおい、俺は不審なものを見つけて報告しただけだぜ。なんで俺が疑われるんだよ。
あなたにしかその手紙をそこへ置けないからよ。そう、これは自作自演。あなたが懐から封筒を取り出し、たった今見つけたかのように振る舞った。密室の中に魔女が入って手紙を置いていった幻想を作り出すためにね。
バカ野郎。またそういう考えなのかよ。そんなことで俺まで疑うのかよ。いい加減にしろ。俺は親父たちを殺されてるんだぞ。そんな俺がどうして犯人の片棒を担がなければならないんだよ。
そうね、たとえ莫大なお金がもらえるとしたとしても、そんなことで肉親の命を切り売りできるような悪魔がいるなんて信じたくないわ。でもね、いるかもしれない。言い方が悪いわね。例えばバトラ君にとってルドルフ兄さんたちが親でなかったとしたら。
はあ？何を言い出すかと思えば、親父は親父だろうが。確かにキリエさんと血縁はねえが、俺の姉貴も同然のお人だ。そこだけは聞き捨てならねえぞ、この野郎。
言うのをやめなさい。ごめんなさい、言い方が悪かったわね。確かに後ろ宮バトラ君はルドルフ兄さんの子供かもしれない。でもあなた本当にルドルフ兄さんの息子のバトラ君なの？
Rosa, you've gone insane.
何をわけのわかんねえこと。俺がバトラじゃねえんなら誰に見えるってんだよ。
ルドルフ兄さんも含めて私たちは6年ぶりにあなたに再会しているわ。
She makes an excellent point.
あなたが本当に後ろ宮バトラかなんて誰も証明できないのよ。あなたは本当は後ろ宮バトラじゃなくて、後ろ宮家の財産をうまく騙し取ろうと紛れ込んだ何者かかもしれない。あなた自分が後ろ宮バトラだとはっきり証明できる。今この場で。
いい加減にしやがれ。俺は俺だ。後ろ宮バトラだ。そこまで疑い出したら、あんただって本当に後ろ宮ローザなのかよ。自分は自分だ、他の誰でもね。ああ、そうだな。あんたの言う通りだぜ。したいがそこまで言うなら反論させてもらうぜ。 ジョージの兄貴たちが死んでいた。夏日おばさんの部屋には鍵がかかってた。部屋の鍵はジョージの兄貴が持っていたんだろう。そしてマスターキーを持ってるのは今やローザおばさんだけだぜ。あの部屋に施錠できたのはあんただけじゃねえかよ。俺の推理じゃこうだ。あんたは真犯人と通じ合っていて、俺たちの目を盗み、5つのマスターキーのうちの1つをこっそり貸し出したんだ。
そんなことしないわよ。ほらここに5つあるわよ。
そんなのは当てになるもんか。あらかじめ取り決めた場所に置かせて回収したかもしれねえじゃねえかよ。それにマスターキーが5個かどうかは疑わしいと言ってたのはあんただぜ。
じゃああなたはその封筒をあなた以外の誰がどうやってそこに置いたというのよ。それが証明できない限りあなたが狼なのよ。
うるせえ。ならあんたこそ証明しろよ。犯人はどうやってジョージの兄貴たちをあの密室で殺したと言うんだよ。どうやって施錠したと言うんだよ。
まったくにもってその通り。夏日の部屋も全く同じだぞ。いつもの通り。扉も窓も内側から施錠されていた。いかなるイカ様も細工もなく、そして隠された通行手段もなければ隠れる場所もない。夏日自身の鍵はジョージのポケットに入って室内に閉じ込められていた。あとは5本のマスターキーしかないが、それは全てローザが持っている。
Thank you for putting Rother in quotation marks.
ついでに言おう。その客間も同じよ。本来の客間の鍵は使用人室に封印されている。だからマスターキー以外では解錠不能。部屋の密室定義もいつもに同じよ。
That's an important distinction. We have specifically learned that Rother is now in possession of all 5 master keys. But we were never truly confirmed that the servants were in possession of all 5 master keys before. We just knew that there was 5 and one belonged to each servant. I'm still gunning on there's a fake master key, and they've swapped it out at some point in time.
おいおい、容疑者はもう一人しかいねえぜ。それでもまだかまととぶんのかよ。後ろ宮バトラー。
うるせえ。てめえも黙ってろ。
黙るのはあなたの方でしょう。あなた以外にどうやってその手紙を置けたというの。それが証明できない限りあなたは狼なのよ。
俺が疑えるってんならあんただって疑えるぜ。あんたこそ証明してみろ。最初に部屋に入って戸締まりの確認だのを始めたのはローザおばさんじゃねえかよ。そして俺の座っていた場所に再び俺が戻るだろうことを見越し手紙をそっと置いたんだ。これはあんたの罠だって疑うこともできるんだぜ。
どうして私がそんな罠を。私が狼ならこの銃で問答無用で撃ってるわよ。
そんなのじゃ理由にならねえな。マリアの目の前で殺人ができねえから、うまく罠にかけようって回りくどいことしてるかもしれねえじゃねえか。マスターキーは全てあんたの手にある。ならここもさっきも全部あんたの仕業じゃねえかよ。言い逃れできるってんなら言い訳を聞かせてみろよ。そうさ、ローザおばさんは最初から怪しいんだよ。なんで親族会議の大人たちが6人殺されたのにローザおばさんだけが例外なんだ。なんでローザおばさんだけがあの礼拝堂にいなかったんだ。一つしか理由がねえよ。ローザおばさんが親父たちをあそこに招いて殺したんだ。クソクソ。それで全部説明がつくじゃねえかよ。ふざけんじゃねえ、ふざけんじゃねえ。わけのわかんねえことを言うんじゃねえ。
Maya thrust herself between Aunt Rosa and me as the blood started rising to our heads. I was taken aback by Maya's crying voice and returned to my senses. I had acted shamefully just now, my eyes filled with tears.
そうなんだよ。全部。魔女のせいだったんじゃないかよ。鍵がどうこうとか。トリックだのアリバイだの。全部バカらしかったんだ。魔女の仕業なのに、俺たちは同じ人間同士を信じ合うこともできなくて。なあ、ローザおばさん。人間の犯人なんて最初からいなかったんだ。全部、だから。ローザおばさんが犯人のわけがないし、俺やマリアだって。そして、ゲンジさんだって他のみんなだって。どうしてこんなことに。俺はどうして。大好きだったローザおばさんとこんなことの隣り合いをしてるんだよ。優しくって。大好きだったおばさんと、どうしてこんな罵り合いをしてるんだよ。なんでみんなで疑い合わなくちゃならねえんだよ。おばさんを疑ってなんかいないんだ。誰も疑ってなんかないんだ。全部魔女の仕業だったんだ。ベアトリーチェの仕業だったんだ。全部ベアトリーチェが魔法で行った事件だったんだ。ベアトリーチェ、頼むからここに現れてくれよ。そして自分が全てやったと俺たちに告白してくれよ。もうごめんだ。こんな疑り合いはごめんなんだ。だから俺たちを許してくれ。解放してくれ。互いの死を見届け合うまで疑り合わなきゃならない地獄から解放してくれ。俺に優しい親戚たちを、いとこたちを返してくれよ。もう嫌だ、全部嫌だ。お前は確かに実在する。姿を見せてくれよ。ベアトリーチェ、ベアトリーチェ。
私はまだ生きているのか。
Apparently, some time ago, Kinzo had fallen into a doze. He searched for his spectacles and looked at the clock. It was 10 p.m.
あやつの儀式ははてどこまで進んだのか。時間的にはもうだいぶ進んでいなくてはならぬ頃だ。
Kinzo lifted his heavy body from the chair and approached the portrait of a witch he had gazed at every day.
ベアトリーチェ、もうじきお前の微笑みに再会できる。死んでもいい。お前の微笑みがもう一度見られるならこの命は惜しくない。だから交渉だ。お前にもう一度会わせてくれ。そして愛を誓わせておくれ。私の罪を謝らせておくれ。だが逃がさん。お前は私のものだ。髪の毛の一本からつま先まで爪の赤すらも私のものなのだ。お前の肉一片までも全て私のもので、その亡骸の煮汁まで私のものなのだ。逃がさん。今度こそこの手からこぼさん。お前を永遠に私のものにしてやるぞ。二度と逃がすものか。二度と逃がすものか。
Kinzo howled in rage, then suddenly fell to his knees as he shook and scraped at the wall. In an instant he started sobbing.
違う。私が言いたいのはこんなことじゃないんだ。ベアトリーチェ。頼む。もう一度会わせてくれ。謝らせてくれるだけでいい。ベアトリーチェ。お前が愛しい恋しい。私が間違っていた。お前が微笑んでさえくれれば他には何もいらなかったんだ。私が間違えた。私がそれを間違えて取り返しのつかないことをしてしまった。その償いに残りの全ての人生を捧げた。お前に詫びるために、私の罪を償うために、全て捧げたんだ。頼む。私の死の際でもいい。せめてお前に一言謝らせて。ベアトリーチェ。
As Kinzo shook and cried, a butterfly appeared out of nowhere behind his small back like a flake of gold leaf and softly descended. You fool, Kinzo. Did you think any woman out there would fall for a man's tears? Well, even if it wouldn't make a human woman fall for you, it might do a trick for a woman who is not human. Kinzo, do you remember that game of chess you played with me, which is still ongoing? Kinzo was worried he suddenly remembered something approached the chess set. It had been during a game he had played with Dr. Nanju until yesterday. After knocking the pieces off a chessboard, he began to line them up again one by one. It was set up for an ongoing game.
そうだ。こうだ。私はクイーンを勧めた。とても良い妙手だった。お前には少々きつすぎるかもしれん一手だった。お前は駒を見捨てるか見捨てないかに悩み、ずっと悩み。
Kinzo waited with the opposite seat empty. Surely very soon his opponent would appear there, and he would be able to restart this game again. You fool, Kinzo. You want to apologize? You want to see my face again? You want to make me smile, my smile an eternal thing? Why can't you say a much simpler word, even though that is the sole element of this world? At the time, Kinzo muttered, was it a prayer? An entreaty? It was probably best to just call it muttering.
お前を愛しているベアトリーチェ。
They are pure words like something an innocent child would say without any evil intent. You really are a fool, Kinzo. If you ever had a chance to do your life all over again, know that those words will never cause a woman to fall for you. That's right, not unless a miracle happens. That's what makes this. At that moment, Kinzo definitely heard a small knock, one with a tempo that differed from those of the servants.
誰だ?
The woman beyond the door didn't answer.
誰かと聞いておる。返事をせるか。
The woman beyond the door Didn't answer.
まさか。おお、まさか。ベアトリーチェなのか。ベアトリーチェ、ベアトリーチェ。
But when beyond the door answered, on the night of twilight the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. "30 minutes remain."